Hi everybody, this is Christy. I am the Intimate Warrior. I thank you so much for stopping by, and as always, I send you love. So I want to continue today's video with going again with my Moses' burning bush video. So this is you can consider this to be a part 2 of that video, but more specifically, it's in relationship to the CSF, and I want to incorporate some questions that I have been giving as a result of that video, and in the past when I talk about the 12 cell salts. I want to incorporate some of those answers in this video. When you get to this point where the Pia Mater, now I've also Mater, I always say Mater, please excuse me. When it gets to this point, and this is in works with the meninges, and how the fluid transfers from one layer to the next and to the next. The Pia Mater is considered to be the tender mother. The Pia Mater conceives the Christ seed. Now, it takes us accumulating all 12 cell salts in order to get to this level. And even by the time we accumulate the 12 cell salts, there's much to be done in between that time frame to the time of deliverance of the Christ seed. There's so many layers in between every single stage of activation. And we have to really just slow down and be still and be patient and have faith and always stay centered in love. In order for you to even accumulate 12 cell salts, you have to be in the resonance of love continuously, which means that for 12 consecutive months of raising the sacred secretion through your moon sign, you are allowing the seed, the lunar seed, to rise. When you accumulate all 12 cell salts, the solar seed activates. And of course, there's levels to this. It's not just accumulating it in 12 months and boom, things are done. Every time you hit a major milestone, major initiations are there. We are triggered by the ego. We are tempted by the ego, even more so. We think that this gets really easy, and it can become easy. It's not that this path, when we get to the higher stages, is easier. It's that we learn. We become more conscious. We become more aware. We become more centered in love. We know the path that we want, and we stick it out. Even when we get to the point of the Pia Mater flowing, which is the CSF, finally, where the Christ seed can become birth, you can fall back again. If we are still falling back into being judgmental, speaking ill of other people, thinking terrible thoughts, and therefore having our actions reflect that, well, I don't know if we have to start over again. I just know it doesn't flow. There won't be, I can only assume, that there's going to be a transition of where you still have to continuously learn your path. There's not going to be a proper flow of life moving through you. It has to be light. Light. And negativity will not function. Darkness does not flow upward. Now, I have been asked about the 12 cell salts. There are things within this reality that exist. Now, in my earlier process of just getting healthier, okay, just becoming healthier, I took vitamins, I found supplements, I took minerals, began to take minerals, liquid minerals, almost every single day for an X amount of time. And then I just stopped. You know, we become really wasteful anyway. We're going to take this, it doesn't really do what we want it to do, and then we stop, we'll try something else and see if that's going to make us either, feel better about ourselves. Spirit promises us, Source promises us that when we choose love, all things will be given to you. All things will be given to you. There is, and if you have read The Word Made Flesh and other great books that talk about the cerebral spinal fluid or the 12 cell salts, there are minerals that you can take that help balance your 12 cell salts. If that is your wish, then, by all means, do what you feel is necessary. But Source promises you that when you choose love, all shall be given. There's nothing that you have to do. There's nothing else that you have to purchase in this reality except choose love, and it shall be so. You accumulate it all on your own by choosing love. So I want you to think about this, because maybe this will help you choose the correct or what is right for you in your life. If you take something, and then in this case the 12 cell salts, and it helps you feel more stable inside, because that's what, in time, when you accumulate it all on your own through the resonance of love, it creates equilibrium, balance. But when you stop taking it, what happens? The minerals will begin to move out of your body through waste. But when you are in the resonance of love, it's always there. Source says, living waters shall flow through you when you are in the resonance of love. Now, if you're taking the cell salts and are in the resonance of love, then of course, one, you don't need it. But two, if you do stop, then your cell salts will still be there, be present. I hope that gives you understanding about it. I personally don't take it. What do I do for myself? Like right now, because of my crown activation of the Pia Mater now moving and flowing in through me, does this mean I've activated the Christ seed or I've received it yet? No, it doesn't. And I'm not going to jump ahead of myself and think that I have it yet. Because every single time, every single day, I have to make sure that I am in the resonance of love. Am I being triggered by my events? Am I thinking negative thoughts? How am I feeling on a daily basis? And do I feel less than or whole? Everything matters. So when I feel this way, and I have for almost 2 weeks now been feeling like my head is just in a cloud. Lots of purification coming through my sinuses, lots of sneezing and things like that. So I don't really feel present, but I feel present. It's, we in our human reality call it allergies, okay? So lots of like hay fever type symptoms, allergy symptoms, fogginess and things like that. Am I giving myself comfort? I use nasal saline on a daily basis, no matter what. It's salt water. I use that to help flush through. anything that I can't purify on my own to help the symptoms. From time to time, I will reach for Tylenol, and this is very minimal. I don't believe in medications, but sometimes, there's a difference between a belief and a medication, because you think you're sick, and then there's a difference in I'm loving myself. You have to find a way to have faith in every experience. So if, I had to teach myself that I was no longer full of disease, which meant I weaned myself off of ever taking medication, ever. Now, in the past, I was an individual that, of course, I was diagnosed with asthma from my childhood, an infant. So I've grown up with tons of respiratory infections, sinus infections, and all of that good stuff that really will keep, bad stuff that keeps you really feeling low and unable to breathe. So as I began to take myself off of medication and antibiotics and all that stuff, it was really hard. It was really hard. And the mind, again, is going to come back and say, you can't breathe, you can't breathe, you can't breathe, Christy. You're sick, you're sick, you're sick, you're sick. Go to the doctor, go to the doctor. One time, at the very beginning of this, after trying to get off of the meds, and I got really sick. My vocal cords collapsed again, and I couldn't even speak, laryngitis, and all, it was really, really terrible. I went to the doctors. I got on my prednisone like I usually do when I have an upper respiratory infection. I got antibiotics, and I immediately began to feel even worse. This is a true indication that we don't need medication. That when we take something and it makes us feel worse, then it's not for us. You have to listen to yourself. I've always felt terrible upon it, and upon taking prescribed medications. So I taught myself, okay, you don't need this. And it's hard to train your brain to think that you don't need something that you are so used to. And that includes food, it includes alcohol, and it includes people in this world. Whether if you're friendships and love and romance, whatever it is, you have to train yourself. Your brain has to be reprogrammed into knowing that you, as a true spirit, has everything that you need within you. That's how you become your own personal God, your own angel, your own resurrected Christ. Faith tells you that whatever it is that you are going through is precisely what you need to go through to get you to where you want to go. If you are purifying yourself and you aren't feeling well, what do you need to do to really make yourself feel good? That your mind isn't saying, if you take this or if you do this, it's bad. You have to become neutral. So, taking medications in my past, I knew. My brain automatically knew I was sick. I healed myself of disease. Began to treat myself naturally, or allowing the way that I was feeling to subside all on its own. Then if I ever got to a point, okay, I'm feeling this because of my upgrades, of what I am going through. And I need to be able to get through my day. Can you look at medication or whatever it is you want to use with a non-judgment? Through non-judgment. If you can, then you have successfully learned faith. In love is non-judgmental in all aspects. So that is something that especially when we are working through our ascension cycle. Are you still judgmental in your reality? Through everything, through your food, through what you drink, through what you think, through what you watch, through who you hang out with, everything. Are you non-judgmental? Love is non-judgmental. Love doesn't mean, oh, I'm kissy with you, you're so beautiful, or that type of stuff. That is, those are things, an expression of love, a form of expression. Love is a neutral standpoint. It is an observer, and it says there is non-judgment whether one thing is good or bad. So no matter what it is that you are doing, if you choose to, and I've gotten, spoken about this off topic here a little bit more, adding my own experience. If you choose to use the 12 cell salts, one, come from a non-judgment part of you. And know that by doing something, you're doing it for your greatest good, no matter what, and it shall be so. So that is my advice. If you are choosing to use anything, whether it's the 12 cell salts or, medications to help you through your symptoms, no, don't beat yourself up about it. But I want you to really understand this and believe it with all of your mind and heart and soul and spirit, that if you choose love, it's all that you need. And the 12 salts will accumulate, because also Source specifies that Source will always know the good spirit and a bad spirit. It will always know the one who's trying to rob and the one who is giving. There is a way, and then there is the way that is going to give it all to you. There are many ways in our process, and there are shortcuts in our process, and then there's the longer process, the long way that's going to get you there. It might be a little more difficult. It might make you feel a little more, have more side effects, but it also is going to make you more aware of your process and hopefully give you more gratefulness of your process. So the more difficult way, although it is very difficult and can be very lengthy, can be the most rewarding. And that's something, no matter what I've done in my life, I've always taken the difficult way, the hard way, because there's a learning process. And when we actually are learning something, we can be given more from that expression or that experience. Okay, so if I go back to making this part of my Moses' burning bush. Moses, like I specified in that video, his staff, or his serpent, swallowed up the other two magicians' serpents, or staff, and created one staff. That was significant and a representation of what actually needs to take place. The two, Ida and Pingala, must unite and open up the doorway to the Sushumna, which is actually the true serpent and the true Kundalini. That doesn't take place until we are at equilibrium, in balance, unity, love within our hearts, in our mind, our heart, and in our root chakra. And Moses, when he split the river or the sea and allowed everybody to move through, this is again the actual opening of the Sushumna, where freedom can be restored. They had to travel from Lower Egypt to Higher Egypt. Now Moses going up the mountain signified him finally making it up to the crown, where cerebral spinal fluid is going to, birth Christ consciousness. This is when you are given the law. And so this is something that was given to me a few days ago. And the law, when Moses finally came back down, because God said your people are committing sin, and you're losing some of the people. So go down and give them the word. Go down and bring the word. Moses threw it, and the earth began to quake. Lightning. So that was a representation, or is a representation of the word finally coming down into our root chakra, the earth of ourselves, and filling us up with the word. Now, this is when still we can rise or fall. This is when the serpent, prior to the Sushumna really being open, where the flow of spinal fluid, the CSF, can, and the spirit molecule can merge from the crown to the root and then back up again, creating and birthing the Christ seed. This is when it can either, again, rise or go below. If there is something, temptation. And temptation or sin is anything that goes against the spirit. You. Anything, if you are, which is anything negative, in thought, in emotion, and in action. And this is not about being perfect. Not about being perfect towards anybody else. Like what you decide to do and what I decide to do are completely different. Our lives are different, but love is love. How are you treating yourself, and how are you treating others? Your experiences are going to dictate what takes place. If you are allowing more of the ego to win, because at this stage, in every major stage, there is going to be a trigger effect, an initiation, to see, are you still in understanding that you are worthy of this? Are you going to allow the ego to win over spirit? Then this is when it turns into the Kunda buffer. If you allow the ego to win, it turns into the reverse serpent, or the tail of the devil. This is where that the serpent tail comes in, or the devil's tail was created. And that means that you are now living within more of the darkness, and instead of more of the light. And when the firing, what were they doing? Let me see. I have to really think about this here. Okay, so what I was actually going to talk about here is when the people down below were constructing the calf. The calf is associated with, of course, in Egypt. I forget what the god was, but Anyway, it's also associated with Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign. And the bad aspect of Taurus is that they can become very materialistic. Now, this is when the word is supposed to be placed into the earth, so that, again, the full flow of the CSF can be made. But when the people began to worship this golden calf, they looked to materialism, which prevented, for them, the flow of fluid. And But when you allow the sacred secretion to continuously flow, Taurus becomes the very breath of God. It works with your lungs and therefore rises into the crown. So when Moses actually was taking the people into the wilderness, this is highly significant of when the Pia Mater can be replenished, because it takes time. It takes that amount of an X amount of stillness and love to replenish the Pia Mater, which, again, like I already specified, will birth the Christ seed. And this is when what is also known as the wings of the cherubim and etc., that the left and the right side of the brain are in complete harmony and unison, but also the lungs. The lungs are receiving the breath, which is highly significant. Again, when we can slow down our breathing, because every time we are becoming overactive or we are reacting to something in our reality, no matter what it is, overreacting to stimuli on TV, on social media, being triggered by anything, in our reality, it has the ability to increase the oxygen in our lungs. We become more distressed, angered. That is when we are no longer able to sustain ourselves properly. And therefore, everything that we're working for becomes lost. And it doesn't matter, even if we get to, the higher activations, when the Christ seed is about to be birthed, it doesn't mean it's going to be birthed. Anything can happen, and it can take you into another backwards cycle. And that's not to terrify you. Please never come from fear. It's implying the importance of love. Love is always the answer. And it's so important to really, really become mindful and aware of everything in your reality. Everything. And it's not about being serious. It's not about being serious. It's, I have kind of played a game with this because you have more fun, more enjoyment with it. It doesn't always feel fun because of the purification process. This process takes us through. But when you have fun with it, you become more grateful for it. Therefore, you are staying centered in love. And so I hope this helps just a little bit more in explaining things or giving you just my perspective of more anything that you are doing in your life. Because, God says it's not what you eat and not what you drink that defiles you, but it's what comes out. So even if you are deciding to take something, do something, if you have not been healed from a limitation, it's going to hinder your growth. And that's something that you have to really teach yourself to understand. I can't explain it for you. I can't help guide you in that aspect because it's up to you to learn this. Of course, if you are one of my clients or people who come to me for assistance, I can give you more of my input through what I have learned, what has worked for me. But for me to actually tell you what to do about your life is wrong of me to do, and I will never do that. You are the best judge of what is correct and right and full of love for yourself. If you believe that taking anything and doing something is for your greatest good, then it shall be so. Your mind and your heart is always going to tell you the truth. If you have guilt in it, if there is anything negative behind it, it's not going to serve you. And again, here's another example though, like exercise. If someone is forcing themselves to exercise and just hating every single moment, the results are going to be negative. You are not going to exercise right. You're going to be sluggish. You're going to be lazy. You're going to say, well, these workouts don't work. My meal plan isn't working. It's just there's something terribly wrong with me. That's how everything is. If you go in, no matter what it is, with a positive attitude, knowing that the greatest outcome is coming out of it, move with flow and move with ease, it shall be so. You know, like, I became very physically active 2017. And I swore back then, after losing 160 pounds, becoming physically fit, and losing most of my chronic pain issues, I could have sworn I was going to stick with fitness and become a fitness instructor, go to school and really pursue that type of career. It didn't pan out that way. I stopped cold turkey one day. I didn't exercise for almost 2 years, just here and there. And I'm picking it back up. I've been picking it back up for the last 3 months. There's a flow. Life will take you on this process. And if you are open to learning about what is true and how it's making you feel without pushing yourself too much, everything is going to work out. You know, so the times that I really wanted to exercise in the 2 years, I was like, you know, I really need to. Because I know I would feel better and I don't want to get fat again. All of that was negative stuff. I caught myself. Okay, no. I know that when God takes me back to it, it shall be so. I won't sit here thinking and pushing myself to do something that I really haven't been wanting to do. Your inner being is always going to know what's true. You have to really listen to your inner being at all times, knowing that what you are doing is exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and the greatest result will always be so. Now, before I say goodbye for today's video, I want to just tell you about a story or something, a phrase that really changed my life early on in my process. And please bear with me. I think my vocal cords are going to do a little thing here. Now, this was early on in my process, so I guess it's been about 4 years now, that when I was really into reading and following and watching videos on YouTube, searching for movies that really resonated with me. I think I subscribed to Gaia at this time, and I was watching a video, and through that video I heard someone's testimony about something, or something that really caught their attention as well. And it was about a husband and wife, and the husband was on his deathbed, and he spoke so softly to his wife, saying to her that when you lay your head down at night on your pillow, you have everything that you need. And that really got me thinking about what it is that I have and what it is that I am capable of. God promises us every single thing when we choose love, and that we have everything within our own power to attain it. That's what that story has taught me that I have the capability to have and to be everything that I've ever dreamt about. My idea about what I am supposed to be and have will be completely different from what your perspective is as well. But the point is, you have everything that you need when you lay your head down on your pillow at night. And when you wake up, you should be aware of that. And you should believe in that. And use that to get you through every single day. Until you know, until you have, until you are your highest self. This is Christy. Much love, health, and healing your way. I am bringing purpose to your life. Take care.